Alright, so we got our 2012 Terrain with a 2.4. We're going to start with a tune-up on it. We got a bunch of different things to do to this car today, my nephew's car. So we're going to take the air cleaner and the snorkel off to get the cover off the engine to get the plugs. So we got two 8mm. We got one here. We got one down here. And we have on this side over here, we got a little hose. Just going to gently pull this thing out. It's got a little O-ring on it. Make sure that that's intact. And there's supposed to be a bracket holding this thing on, but I don't really see one. I think it's just the snorkel that's holding it down, so let's see if we can lift it up. Okay, that's in off. Get that off there. And let me hold the bracket. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. It popped off. We got a fall code. We're going to take the oil cap off to get this off. And we had a couple of, the vehicle's got 157,000 miles on it. And we don't really know much about it. So I'm going to stick this back on so nothing falls into the oil. And your throttle body is kind of exposed here. So we're gonna stuff a rubber glove over the top of this thing so nothing falls in there. And it looks like we got 10mm holding down the spark plug coils, excuse me. And we're gonna get those out. So we're just spraying a little penetrating oil down on these. Out here we can squeeze and slide the coil plugs back off of it. And they're a certain distance, so you can't really confuse these, so I wouldn't worry too much about them. Slide them all back. Then we got our 10mm here, and I don't like to impact these. I like to crack them loose by hand. You know, these going into aluminum, and you don't want to break these. Makes for a long day.
Yeah, it's like.
So the car's been running poorly, and when you come to a stop, it almost feels like it's skipping and shaking, and that's why that fault code P014 came on. And you know, like I said, we don't know anything about this car. We need to start at the heart of it, and that's the spark plugs. You want to see what these look like. You picked up a set, so you can just slide your boots off like this, and you know, we'll line them up. And I like to put dielectric grease in them and spray them with silicone. So we got two there. I like to put them back in the same hole. So just keep two over here. Nice and tight.
Yeah, that one was tight. It should have been that tight. They've been in there a while.
Yeah. Got my little spark plug boot here that I like to slip down.
Oh, everybody on the internet loves that thing, Steve. I'll put a link to that in the description of this video if you guys want it on Amazon. It's out there.
Yeah. And use a piece of 3/8 rubber hose as well, but
yeah,
it's got a little grippy thing on the end. It's pretty nice. All right, so these plugs looking pretty tired. So
yeah,
they're a little fouled because we've also got an alternator issue going on with this thing. So we got a new set of plugs, and we're going to get these put in it. So let me get them all out.
so we're going to finish taking the rest of the spark plugs out. We'll get back to you in a minute.
All right, so we got our new plugs, and we got auto lights, and they're gapped at 35. That's what the original AC Delco is. Looking online, you know, anywhere, depending on the brand, they go from 35 to 44. The original ones were at 35. They're worn. And we're putting a thin coat of never sees on these. Yeah, we matched up our plugs the same length, so that's good. We don't need a lot of never sees. We're just putting a little bit on the threads.
It's a tiny bit. You don't want to glob it on there, just so it's easier to take it out next time.
Yeah. And so we got these ready to go. We checked them. You can't really gap these things because they have that little tiny electrode there. You don't want to break it. but I like to run the gap just to make sure if something happened during shipping, if the box was dropped or something, you do want to just very delicately check them. And then we're going to go over to our spark plug boots right now. We have our dielectric grease and our silicone spray. We want to treat the boots. So I like to take the dielectric grease and we're going to put a little blob in here, just a little bit inside on each one of them. I kept them in line. It doesn't really matter if you keep them in line or not, but you know, we're keeping them in line. And then let's do all of these, and then we're going to spray them with silicone spray and then let them set. And we'll get the plugs in it, and then we come back. The silicone spray keeps any water or anything or any of the boots cracking, and it's just going to extend the life of the coil for you. And it's a, you know, a can of silicone spray is very inexpensive. So this is pretty inexpensive as well. So now let's get the spray. I like to spray them over the barrel right here. Move the duct work over here. And we're just giving them a quick coat. And I'm going to let them sit while we're putting the plugs in. Let them dry. We're going to do all four like this. So we got all our plugs checked. We got a little bit of never sees on them. We double check the gap on them. We're going to drop them down into the hole. We're going to start them by hand and then run them down as far as we can, and then we'll come back and we'll snug them all up with the ratchet. So I'll get these all tightened down by hand and we'll come back. Alright, we're going to snug these up now, and you don't need to kill them. You feel them bottom, just get them snug. And our bolts from the coils over here that we have, we're gonna, okay, that's good. The bolts that we have from the coil, we're gonna, the threads look good on them. We're just gonna put a little dab of never sees on these. So I can take my coils now and put them back in place and slide them down. Plugs out of the way, push them down so that they're down, and then we're going to go and get the never sees on the bolts. We'll snug these down. We're taking this actuator out here. I don't know if this is really, doesn't really seem like it's in my way, so I'm going to put the coil back in place, and we're going to get the never sees, put a little blob on this so we can plug our coil packs in right now. You know, you always want to take a quick look at the pins. There's a nice weather rubber green O-ring in there, so make sure there's no corrosion or water in here, and we can slide our connections back on. You want to listen, make sure you hear the click. And we're going to just lube these bolts up right now and get these down and snug these up. Just need a little dab on these, not a lot. Slide everything by hand. I don't like to run these down with a gun. You know, if this thing snaps off, you know, you can't, you got to drill it and tap it. So it ain't worth, you know, doing that. So let's get a little on these. We'll tighten these all down by hand. You know, it just takes a minute. You don't have to rush to rip it down with the impact gun. So get them started. Just gonna snug it. That's it. We'll go on to the next. It's gonna be the same procedure to tighten all four of them down. Once we get these all tight, I like to, since I have the silicone spray out, I like to just spray the top of the coil packs and the connections with the silicone spray. It's only going to help, you know, make them last a little longer, keep them moist and repel water. Yeah, you have an engine cover on top of this, but you know, moisture gets in everywhere. We're in New England, and everything that we can do to try and fight the elements we have to seem to do. So I get the silicone spray. I'm going to spray the rest of these right now. Okay, just want to cover the boots, top of the coil.
That'll help to keep the moisture out.
Yep, and that's it. So we got the plugs done on it. All right, we're gonna get our cover back on here. Need a couple of dowels. Once you line up one of them, they all seem to line up. Got an oil filter cap that we're putting on here. And we're gonna get our air cleaner assembly back on now. We have the two rubbers in the back over here. I'm going to put a little dielectric grease right here on these.
Just help it to slide on easier.
Yeah, you know. Just a little bit in here. Just coming back over here. We got to get these to line up. So get this on right there, and then those lined up nice, and okay, everything lined up nice. Just snugging it up, you don't have to kill it. Put the one down here that we're putting on. Looks pretty centered. Yep, we'll go with that. We'll push down on the back over there, so that's all set. And we just have our little side connection to put in here. Looked at the O-ring, it's good. We cleaned it all up. Now the pushing that in. So the top half of the engine is all back together, you know, after the tune-up. And we also have to take that off to do the spark plugs.
That's all you need to do to get the top half of the cover back together.